What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another deck profile here on TCG University for the card game UniVersus. My name's Tam, and today I'm going to be showing you Tyler's Siegfried deck that he played for the Princess and the Pea Royal Rumble. This deck is a blast. This was a free week, and so we get to play whatever character that we want. So everybody doubled up on characters that they wanted to see. So you've seen Siegfried before here very recently on the channel. So enjoy this one as well. Let's get to it. All right. So Siegfried is the man. Siegfried's such a cool deck. If you haven't seen one of my deck profiles before, as opposed to just reading off what the cards do verbatim, what the cards read, I'm going to tell you more about how the deck wants to operate. So this deck, like most Siegfried decks, wants to just flip all of my opponent's cards. It wants to take them from face up and turn them face down, specifically their foundations, so that my enhanced check of 4 works 100% of the time, as well as it has a ton of speed resets, a ton of speed hates, so that after I block with a foundation, I can build it into my staging area and now have a new ready resource. And so he builds on block, he reduces my opponent's damage, but they can cancel it, or I can increase my damage and they can cancel it. So my opponent gets to make a decision every time that I play and successfully play my check of 4. Really, really cool stuff. So let's start off with the attacks. So 90% of the attacks in the deck are going to be flipping things, and that's their primary goal in the deck, because I don't need to get big damage on my attacks, because Siegfried's going to make all my stuff real big as well. Lose 2 vitality, flip a foundation, and then this thing gets a little bit of extra speed. It's also got a really good one mid-block with Breaker 1, but 9 times out of 10 I want to block with my foundation so that I can move them with Siegfried. Up next, in the same vein, we're playing 4 spinning Pile Driver. Pile Driver just says, first enhance, flip one of my opponent's foundations. And so, hopefully, because I'm putting enough pressure, I'm flipping 2 foundations every time that I play an attack. I flip one with Pile Driver, flip one with one of my attacks, and then I flip one with Siegfried because you don't want my attack to get big. Until eventually, you just don't have resources to flip anymore. Up next, we're playing 3 Pilgrimage. Pilgrimage says that I flip one of yours. Siegfried says you flip one. And then if you have 3 or more face downs, I get to draw a card. So it just replaces itself. So it can be like a 3 mid for 8, which is just a really solid attack. Up next, we're playing 4 Rook Splitter. Rook Splitter is probably the most valued attack inside of our deck, pound for pound. It's got Powerful 2, as well as Stun 2. It is a 4 mid for 8 inside of Siegfried if they can't flip. They can't or won't flip. And then it says they flip 2 foundations, so they can discard a card. 9 times out of 10, they're going to discard a card that they don't need, which is fine because you're just getting a card out of their hand, which is totally all right. That does not feel bad for me at all. Up next, we're playing double Flight of the Wicked. This is a throw inside of our deck, and it gets +1 damage for each of my opponent's face downs foundations. And so what I do is I take and I make them flip with all of these attacks, and then at the very end of a chain or at the beginning of my next turn, I decide I'm going to kill them. I'll play Flight of the Wicked. I'll take and give my thing like +6, +7 damage, and then with Siegfried, since they have all face-down foundations, I'll just give it another 3. I will note with Siegfried that once you successfully use Siegfried's ability, the stat cannot receive any more damage, pumps, or penalties, and so you have to do it in a specific order to where Siegfried is either the very first thing that you do on your opponent's attacks or the last thing you do on your attacks, because if I did it in the opposite order, I would give it +3 damage and then attempt to give it damage here, and then it just can't receive it. And then my last attack is double From Science with Love. We're playing plenty of assets, and so we can get the free momentum. And then since all of their staging areas are going to be face down, we're probably going to give this thing like multiple 6, multiple 7. And so with the throws in here that are going to be touching them, we get momentum. With itself, we get the momentum, and we just multiple out. And then with all of these attacks, we use Siegfried to give it another 3 damage. So it's a 4 high for 8 on every single one of them. On to the actions and assets. The first action we're playing, and only action we're playing, I guess, is your path ends here. This is a really good hand trap that flips my opponent's stuff or makes them discard cards, and it's really great because it's on block, which means on their turn, I'm making them discard cards, as well as it can be a damage pump or a damage reduction, depending on what you need at the time. And once again, your opponent can flip 2 foundations to cancel, which just means that, like, yeah, I'll play this as an enhance. My opponent can flip 2. Oh, you did flip your last 2? Well, then I'll just play Siegfried, and now it can't receive anything. Happens. On to the assets. We're playing double Coludus. This card says if any of my attacks hit you, that includes throws, I get to selectively flip one of your assets, which is so unbelievably strong, or foundations. We're playing Double Requiem. It's just another copy of Siegfried. It's just either once per turn without committing, my attacks get damage, or once per turn, or commit, your attacks get minus damage, but you can flip a card to cancel. And so you can use Siegfried and Requiem in tandem to be like, oh, you'll flip your foundation. Well, now you don't have one. I'll use Siegfried. Or they can't afford to flip it since they only have specific face-ups. So you're like, hey, this thing will actually get -4, -5 damage. And so it's just a really good defensive tool to keep you alive. And my last asset is one Omega Sword and Owl Shield. This card is insane, especially in a character that wants to block with his foundations. We'll block with the foundation and then move it. Maybe they add cards to my card pool in order to, or I have to block with an attack. Well, now the attack doesn't count as progressive. I can go back to block with my foundations and not feel bad about it. This card is freaking amazing. It's one of the best cards in the game. I love the options that this card gives defensive players. Onto the attacks. The first aggressive foundation I want to talk about is 2 Thunderous Roar. This card says that eventually my stuff is just going to kill you. It gets +1 damage or +1 speed for each of my opponent's face downs. And so this combined with Requiem is just like, hey, +1 damage for all your face downs. Hey, +1 speed for all your face downs. And it also has the hidden ability of if I have 30 or more cards in my discard pile, which is very, very possible, it gets +1 speed for an additional +1 speed for each of my face downs. So it's now commit for like +12. Because by the time that I have 30 inside of my discard pile, they have enough face down foundations for it to matter. Speaking of more speed, we want even more speed. Triple Second Saintly Beast. This could be considered in the defense section just because it does say -2 speed and it's really good on the block. But I wanted to put it in the aggro card because this is the last aggro card we have in the deck. Siegfried does a really, really good job of just like pushing through damage and making sure that because of the disruption that we have inside of the deck, that I can guarantee and make my attacks go through. And some of our attacks are not throws. Some of them need a little extra help. And so with Thunderous Roar and Second Saintly Beast, that's how we get the +3 to damage attack to go through. I guess the last aggro card that we do have is the Key to Humanity's Freedom. Because of how many assets we're playing, this is a +2 damage, as well as just add in an asset if I need it on a turn. If I really need a good block string, I will Key to Humanity's Freedom and then add in the Owl Shield, and then it'll stay ready, and I can make sure I can block everything that I need to. All right, moving on to the flow cards. We're playing Double Betrayer of 12. This card just lets me draw cards because there's no way that they're gonna want to flip the extra foundations, and so they're gonna block my card. I'm going to commit Betrayer to 12 and then draw it back up, or it can be a bit of a disruption and/or flow card, just because if it's not blocked, my opponent's gonna flip a foundation, as well as it's disruption because I make my opponent discard their momentum. Only playable if they have 3 or more face downs. I hope that happens. Man, that'd be really neat. Up next, we've got Double Sense of Morals. Just if my stuff gets stunned, I get to ready it back up. It's a really free build. It's just good stuff. Good stuff all around. Up next, we're playing 4 Hell's Reach. This card just says once per game, essentially, if it is committed, you get to flip and ready it back up in order to make sure that you pass big strings. We do have a lot of 5 difficulty foundations, and so it feels good being able to pick those up when necessary. Up next, we've got 2 Guardian of the Spirit Sword. This card is really, really solid just because of the defense that it has. -2, possibly 3 speed, as well as you can pick up any of those assets that you need to. Picking up a 1 mid block seems very relevant. Same thing with Evil Eye. It is a playable while committed speed reset. And so this card just says that after I block with the Evil Eye and bring it down, and I block another thing and commit it, I can then flip and guarantee I hit another block. Speed resets are incredibly, incredibly important inside of the game, especially whenever your character wants to block everything it can. Speaking of speed resets, another good defensive piece, Bakery Poster Girl. Once again, playable while committed. We get to destroy this card after my opponent has played 3 or more enhances this turn. Not this enhanced step, this turn, put their speed to 0. And so easy block. I'll block with another one and then bring it down and then commit it and then blow it up again. Easy peasy, easy peasy. Last defensive card that we're playing, sometimes we can't block stuff, and that's totally okay. This is just your Requiem on a foundation. Enhance flip. This attack is -1 for each of my opponent's face downs, or if you block a throw attack, it deals no damage. But you do have to completely block it. It can't be a partial block. It's got to be like mid to mid or high to high, low to low. On to the disruption cards. Here's where I want to talk about all the flip cards that we have. So this card just says pay 2, selectively flip one of my opponent's foundations, which is really good. And then enhanced commit, it's a little aggro for my throw gets +4 damage. But I'd rather flip the stuff so that my Siegfried will work more consistently. We're playing one of the coolest cards in the game for Pride of the Tribe. This card says that after I commit it to pass the check on a block, they're going to flip some foundations. So I can have, the more that I have of these, it's just the more likely their stuff is going to get flipped. So I will play Siegfried's ability, and because I have Pride of the Tribe, they're not going to be able to cancel. They're not going to be able to cancel the ability. So to get -2, I'll partial block their thing, commit my 2 cool cards, and then build my card down. And then now they flipped 2, even though they didn't want to. Not to mention, if this thing ever gets stunned, we can use Sensimorals to ready it back up, and then block and commit, and they'll flip one. And then on the next attack, we'll ready it, and then block, commit. Next attack, we'll ready it. And so we get to flip one every turn. They're just not allowed to stun me with Pride of the Tribe on the board. The next big flip card is Eviscerate. This card is Siegfried as a foundation. So let's say Siegfried is sealed or committed or whatever. I can block with it, and if my opponent has more face downs than I do, I will take and build it into my staging area, and then after I take damage, I flip, and then you flip. And so I got rid of a face down, but I got rid of a face up, but I traded a face up for a face down, and your deck probably doesn't care about face downs quite nearly as much as mine does. The next one is Ominous Prophecy. This card says that, 1, it stops assets from existing. It's a really good asset hate, as well as it says that I can make you lose a keyword. So I can just strip the weapon keyword off of your Yoshimitsu deck, and now it just doesn't work anymore. I can take the flash keyword away from your Lord Raptor deck, and it just doesn't work anywhere. Are you playing a cool multiple deck? Well, now it doesn't have that. And so they just don't have it. So essentially, if you can call this right, your opponent essentially loses a turn, which might be the make or break for if you get to use Siegfried or not. And then my last card is Double Protecting the Protector. Keeping Siegfried is one of my main defensive pieces, and so if he gets banged, committed, whatever, it's really, really tough. As well as, I don't really use my momentum for anything. There's a cool powerful attack. There's a cool multiple attack, but nothing beats having Siegfried up and ready. And so sticking you with a throw attack and then keeping the Protecting the Protector ready and willing is super, super good. Not to mention, this is really good versus Tagore Brothers. It's super, super useful versus Tagore Brothers. And so there you have it. There is the Siegfried deck profile. Tyler absolutely loves Siegfried. I think he did a really, really good job building this deck. It was very, very fun. I got to pilot it, and I felt in complete control the entire time that we played. I always forced my opponent. My opponent had to sit there with their head in their hand and be like, do I want to flip this thing? Which is a great feeling for Siegfried, because it's exactly what he wants to do. So if you like this deck profile, make sure you check out all the matches that he played, as well as any other profiles that we have here out on the channel. And if you feel like it, please go out and support us on patreon.com/TCGUniversity. For just a couple bucks, you can go out there and join the community and get talking with all the other lovely Siegfried players that we have. So from all of us here at TCG University, thank you very much for watching, and stay learned.